So I'm half Tunisian, half Palestinian, born and raised in Saudi Arabia, 5 years in Egypt, 2.5 or 3 years in Dubai, and less than a year ago I moved here.
So, what it's like to be trans in one of those countries?
And being trans in Egypt all depends on really what you look and how far you pass. Unfortunately, if I wasn't this light, if I did not pass as a cisgendered white tourist, I don't think I would have been here. Every single country I've been in, there are many cases of torturing trans women.
It's easy to be trans men and trans women in those countries.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's been going for decades and decades, all the oppression of Palestinian people. So, of course, a lot of us have to immigrate. There are so many couples in Gaza. There are men who said, oh, I miss making out with all the boys, blah, blah, blah. People think that, oh, the media is making people identify as trans. I was in Saudi Arabia. I had no internet when I was like 3 or 4. I had no magazines or media to tell me what trans people are. As soon as I knew what a woman was, I identified as one.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Trans Crush, the spicy, fun and educational podcast where every Thursday we dive deep into lives, stories and experiences of trans women. I'm your host Pavi and I'm so happy you are here every week. Your support means so much to me. Now, our today's guest is Oro, who is an Arabian trans woman who moved to UK just a few months ago. And I'm so happy she is in the studio with us today. Hi, Oro. Welcome to Trans Crush.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. This is my first time ever on a podcast. So
First time ever.
Yes, it's my first time.
So we have a tradition on the podcast with a question, what makes you happy? So what makes you happy, Oro?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest, money. So, money and maybe security and safety. No, honestly, it's very much security and safety, especially like in this time and day, with everything going on. Being someone like me, I'm like a million minorities in one. So yeah, I definitely cherish and appreciate and like seek security and safety. So yeah, that makes me happy. That makes me finally be able to start becoming happy or try to be happy.
Fair enough. So I know a little bit about your background. You've got so many different backgrounds. I know you're Arabian, correct? Tell me more. Where were you born?
Okay, this is gonna be a lot. So I'm half Tunisian, half Palestinian. I'm very much Palestinian in like the way I speak in Arabic, blah, blah, everything, the way I was raised. But I was born and raised in Saudi Arabia, spent 18 years there. And after that, spent a year in Tunisia, 5 years in Egypt, 2.5 or 3 years in Dubai. And less than a year ago, I moved here to marry my husband, be with my husband. So yeah, a lot of stuff. And I'm very multicultural.
So what it's like to be trans in one of those countries? You can maybe mention each country, how it feels to be minority, LGBT and trans in your case.
Yeah, so it really differs from country to country. Sometimes it's harder than people think, and sometimes it's easier than people think. So in Saudi Arabia, of course, it was very difficult. I was there before this new PR update for Saudi Arabia. I was there when there were still religious police walking the malls with...
What is the PR update?
Like since 2017,
Okay.
the Crown Prince took over, Mohammed bin Salman, and since then he has changed the curriculums of the schools. He has changed everything. Women started driving. He opened tourist visas so everyone can visit. So he's the reason behind all the WWE and all the concerts and all the festivals. Before that, it was really, really difficult, really dark. And of course, me being a foreigner, no matter how long you spend in the country, my family's been there for 60 years, you don't get the nationality, and of course you are treated far more roughly, and the laws are even stricter on you. So just existing alone is like haram or illegal. That's Saudi Arabia. For Egypt, for example, you'd be surprised because trans women actually can be legalized and legalize their status. It takes years though, and you have to do a few surgeries and you have to go to this and that, but it can be done. And being trans in Egypt all depends on really what you look and how far you pass. Unfortunately, if I wasn't this light, if I did not pass as a cisgendered white tourist, I don't think I would have been here.
Really?
Yeah, in Egypt. Yeah,
What would
definitely.
happen?
Just the people, government officials, of course, when you want to renew your visa or in the airport or stuff, just me looking the way I am, they would think I'm just a cisgendered woman, white tourist passing by, so they don't bother with me. But if, like a lot of times, if they were to look at my ID, that's like says male and know where I'm from, which is like Middle Eastern, I definitely would have been in trouble. I could have been jailed. I could have been blackmailed. I could have
Just
been
as a
tortured.
tourist or living there?
Anyways, either a tourist or living there. If
Really?
you are, because I have a Tunisian passport, a North African passport. Just being trans, or they call it destruction of family values or something like that. It's such a broad term. No one knows what it means, but they can use it to basically prosecute anyone they want. Of course, it's harsher on Egyptians than foreigners in Egypt, unlike other places, unlike the Arabian Gulf, like Dubai and Saudi Arabia. So yeah, it's very complicated, but I consider myself very privileged and lucky and blessed just to pass. Unfortunately, so many others are not as lucky as me and have went through hell just randomly. They could just be passing a street and the police would ask for IDs, take a look at how they look like. If they think they look suspicious, they don't look, they don't conform to stereotypical standards, they would ask them to take them to the station, search their phones, torture them. So yeah, it can
Torture them?
Of course. Every single country I've been in, there are many cases of torturing trans women, especially outside the Gulf. You'd be surprised, but inside the Gulf, there is actually the Gulf. By the Gulf, I mean Saudi Arabia and Dubai. You cannot get physically attacked. Me in Dubai, I am 50 times more likely to get stabbed or attacked here than in Dubai. There are very, very, very strict laws against physical violence or bullying, no matter what you look like, no matter what you're doing. But you being illegal, me being trans, which is now illegal. One time they legalized it for just 1 year when Expo happened, and then they criminalized it again. Yeah, they
in
legalized
Saudi
it.
Arabia?
No, in Dubai.
In Dubai?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm just jumping from country to country, but I'm just showing you how different it can be from countries in the Middle East. People think it's all the same, but no. In Dubai, I definitely was the safest, but all it takes is just one person to maybe take a picture of me, file a police report, or maybe one police officer to want to harass me or just be upset enough to cause trouble for me, because my existence alone was criminalized, because I'm considered a cross-dresser, and cross-dressers are cross-dressing itself is illegal and is kind of considered identity fraud. If your gender, the way you present yourself, your gender expression does not match the gender on your passport, then that is cross-dressing and that is illegal.
What about masculine presenting cis women? Do they get stopped as well?
So actually, you'd be surprised, but when women present themselves in a more masculine way, or even lesbianism is far more accepted. I think it really comes down to deeply rooted misogyny.
Yeah.
So if you're a man, that's absolutely all right. You know, they make up any excuses to accept it, blah, blah, blah. But if you're becoming womanly, more feminine, that's when problems happen. So honestly, there is far more acceptance for masculine presenting women. They still can go through trouble and problem, harassment and oppression, but far, far less than feminine presenting individuals, and lesbianism or like
Or
lesbian
trans
activity.
men as well, I'm thinking.
Yeah, trans
It's
men.
easy to be trans man and trans woman in those countries.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. There was actually an Egyptian actor that had a trans man son who is fully legalized, did all the surgeries and papers, blah, blah. And he says he's proud of him, blah, blah, blah. But he said, if I had a son that identified as a woman, like the other way around, I wouldn't accept it. Yeah. So they make up any excuses to accept embracing masculinity, but if it were femininity, it's the exact opposite,
It's
and
so
you'd go through hell.
hypocritical.
Yeah, and many countries in the Middle East, if not all of them, have do not criminalize lesbian activity. So it's just homosexuality between
Men and men.
people, yeah, or people assigned male at birth. So yeah, depending on the country, there are a few elements in each country you live in. There's the government, whether your existence is legal or not, blah blah, and the community and the people. So you could be in an Arabian country where no one cares, like the government does not care about homosexual activity, about being trans, but then again, the people are harsh, they may attack you, they may bully you, they may take pictures of you, blah, blah. And it can be the opposite. It can be like Dubai, where the government is your main concern, your only concern, actually. And the people actually do not care, and they will not touch you. They will not harass you because it can get them in deep trouble. Yeah.
Have you been to Palestine?
No, unfortunately, me being half Palestinian, my mother's family, they're all Palestinians. I've spent way more time with them than any of my father's family. Unfortunately, more than 40 years ago, they moved to Saudi Arabia. Of course, because of the conditions. People think whatever's been going on has just like arisen and started happening a couple of years ago, but it's been going for decades and decades, all the oppression of Palestinian people. So of course a lot of us have to immigrate. I've never visited Palestine, and if Palestine was able to fully govern itself and was free of any oppression, I would have had a Palestinian passport. I would have studied college in there, you know. So unfortunately, no, that did not happen. Yeah.
How is the situation for trans people in Palestine?
So in Palestine, I can't speak much, but it
From what you know.
It depends on your circle, your family, your district, your block. Honestly, most of the time, they don't care. They have far more problems to worry about, you know, of course, all the oppression, all the stuff going on. And there's basically no government to arrest you for it or anything. If you look at Queering the Map or Queering the World, I don't know what it's called. There is this website that people can pop up messages from their location, and they can spread messages of like queer acceptance, blah, blah, blah. There are so many in Gaza. There were articles and pages about this, but of course the media wouldn't share it. There are so many couples in Gaza. There are men who said, oh, I miss making out with all the boys, blah, blah, blah. So I would actually recommend looking at that, and I would recommend at just Googling someone queer in Palestine. You'll find a lot of them. They'll talk all about it. So when it comes to society, there isn't much fear. The only fear is from militia, from these oppressive authorities, from any sides, basically. Yeah.
Aura, when did you know you were trans?
Basically, this never happened, because ever since I knew there was a man and a woman, when I was like 3 or 4, I definitely remember this. One of my first ever memories. I had dolls and all sorts of toys. I was given a Ken and a Barbie, and they're like, oh, this is a man, this is a woman, you know? I could barely speak, but I somehow remember this. And I looked at the Barbie, and I was like, that's me. And they're like, no, you're this. since then, since I've ever had an understanding of the concept of gender and gender roles in society, I have always identified with the role of a woman. And this also happened with zero external influences. People think that, oh, the media is making people identify as trans. I was in Saudi Arabia. I had no internet when I was like 3 or 4. I had no magazines or media to tell me what trans people are. As soon as I knew what a woman was, I identified as one. But of course, society and my family and everything forced me to live the life of a male, a man. And I studied in all male schools, obviously. Yeah. Even my orthodontist, I had braces on. He said, what are you doing? Are you taking hormones? Are you doing something? Because your lower jaw is retracting and your bone structure is changing. I was just 15, 16. A lot of people are telling me I might be intersex.
Yeah.
But I never really had the medical capability to check that. My father's family is like completely Tunisian. They're like really strict, really conservative. And my mother's family, which is Palestinian, is far more loose, far more tolerant and accepting. And I felt more safe being around strangers, basically, classmates, than my family, my father's family, basically.
So when did you start your medical transition?
So basically, I've only officially started HRT a few months ago when I got here. But before that, there was just the tiniest bit of some DIY, like off the counter, what do they call it? Pregnancy prevention, to use it for the estrogen in it and stuff, or what do they call it? Estradiol. So basically, I've had 0 surgery so far, and I've only started HRT a while ago. But I've always presented very feminine traits, especially after puberty. So I grew up looking like a normal male, but after puberty, I don't know what happened. I did have the normal male puberty, but a while after, just a couple months after, it's like my masculine traits regressed. And I started becoming more feminine by the day. No hormones, no surgery, no external influence.
Are we talking
nothing.
what age are we talking right now?
That started happening when I was like 14. So there are a lot of people are telling me I might be intersex.
Yeah.
But I never really had the medical capability to check that. And no matter what I was going to be forced to live a male life, study in all male schools. So yeah, it was just weird. Even my orthodontist, I had braces on. He said, what are you doing? Are you taking hormones? Are you doing something? Because your lower jaw is retracting and your bone structure is changing. I was just 15, 16. So that was a factor. And it actually helped a lot of people accept me. Friends I've had since I was a child, elementary school friends and my cousins and stuff, they've seen me grow over the years. So they gradually started accepting me, becoming more feminine by the day. I used to write with like pastel pink pens, and I was called Oro in school too, in my all-male Saudi Arabian public government school. And I had like Hello Kitty stickers and stuff, and they accepted it because the main factor that convinced them was that this is all natural. No hormones, no makeup, no surgeries. So they just grew to accept it. Yeah, so I never really struggled with my friends.
You mentioned the all-male school. How was it for you?
So basically in Saudi Arabia back at the time, 99%, if not 100% of schools, especially public schools, government schools, were all male. From first grade to graduating high school, it's all male. And I did study in them. I never went to an international school or anything. And surprisingly enough, I did not suffer in school at all. during middle school and high school, after puberty, and when I started having my own hobbies and interests and things like that, my friends around me and my class and my surrounding community, my block, my district in Saudi Arabia, in central Saudi Arabia too, which can be far more conservative than others because it's the capital, I did not suffer. I was not bullied. I was not attacked. I was not beaten up or anything like that. I was actually accepted. I don't know how. I'm very lucky. I'm very blessed. But that was really good. My school was safer than my house. And I felt more safe being around strangers, basically classmates, than my family, my father's family, basically. Yeah.
That was actually my other question with your family. How did your family react to basically the transition from male presenting to female presenting? You said it was very natural. It wasn't from day to day, overnight. How was it for them?
Yeah, so my father's family is like completely Tunisian. They're like really strict, really conservative. And my mother's family, which is Palestinian, is far more loose, far more tolerant and accepting. Half of them are in Europe right now. And next week I'm visiting my cousin, actually. Basically, my mother and father got divorced when I was like 4. It did not affect me much, but we moved with my father. And I spent most of my childhood with my father. And of course, he was really abusive. He was really oppressive. And I went through hell with him, especially the more I was growing. Because the more I was growing, the more I was showing feminine traits and showing less masculine traits and showing my interests. I tried so hard to convince him. We've always had these issues, but it was hell on earth with my father and my father's family. But my mother and my mother's family, they did nothing about it. They would just hang out with me, just like I'm any other person in the family, regardless of my gender identity. Yeah, so that's what happened, basically.
What would you say has been the biggest challenge of your life?
My biggest challenge, more than being trans, was actually being half Palestinian, half Tunisian, because having a weak passport, unfortunately, makes it so difficult to apply for scholarships, so difficult to visit countries, so difficult to do so much. I actually wanted to move to Dubai since 2016, but we were banned for a few years, for like maybe 5 years. And as soon as we were unbanned in 2022, that's when I moved, because all my chosen family is there.
So who was banned? From
Tunisians.
Tunisians
Yeah,
were
the
banned?
entire nationality, yeah.
No way.
Unless certain conditions, like they are summoned by name. This happens a lot with the UAE. Yes, it seems very safe. It's one of the safest countries in the world, blah, blah, and it looks very dystopian. But that is because sometimes if any nationality tends to do anything that does not reflect a good, positive look on the country, they can just overnight ban an entire nationality. Yeah, so that was my main challenge, honestly. Besides being trans, also meant that I could not study in any college in the Middle East, most of them, because they are going to read my name, call me out by my name every time. And in college, everyone's far older, everyone's far more malicious. They can actually attack me and harass me, blah, blah. I was very lucky to have a good middle school and high school that tolerated me, but that wouldn't have happened with college. That's why I went to online college just a couple of years ago, and I just graduated, actually. So yeah. Those were my 2 biggest challenges: education and visas and the bureaucracy of immigration.
I have many more questions for you, especially about your dating life, but we're going to save it for Patreon. So before we go on Patreon, I have a last question for you, and that is, what are your hopes and dreams for the future?
My hopes and dreams is that there will be far more scientific and educational awareness of trans people and gender non-conforming individuals, because when I have an argument with someone who's not convinced with trans people, I tell them there is a study that shows that trans women, their brain structure is more similar to cisgendered women than cisgendered men, even though they were assigned male at birth. So there is so much scientific proof, but it needs a lot of support. It needs a lot of awareness. It needs a lot of resources in order to reach the major public to change this perspective about us, because bigots and most people are far more likely to believe it if it's actually physical rather than just spiritual or psychological. So I do really hope that there will be more resources on spreading awareness about us and informing people in a scientific, educational, systematic way, rather than just fighting online and just saying, oh, let me be, you know. I love that so much. Basically, I would love for these factors, these scientific studies, researches, elements to be supported, to be published, to be put everywhere, basically, just as much as hate towards us is spread everywhere over the media. Yeah,
beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, for accepting my invitation. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, and I'm so honored to be here, and thank you so much for bringing me and hosting me, and this was amazing. Thank you.
And I can't wait to find out more about your dating life on Patreon. So make sure you go on Patreon right now. And if you don't, what are you doing? Well, that was all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And I'm going to say goodbye with one of our slogans. So much realness, it will make you blush. Every Thursday on Trans Crash. Take care. Bye.
What I liked in him was the stability. He's stern, he's resilient, he's patient. Traits that you don't see much in today's men.
Did your husband date trans women before?
No, actually he did not. And I just love representing plus-sized, Arabian, pale, trans women. Like, it's a lot of niche categories
Yes, you are.
in one. I had to put myself in what I call bottom boot camp. 6 butt plugs, toys, dildos, fingering, help from my husband. I took it 3 months ago and I just had my second injection. It definitely changed everything in my life.